peatiness in the start. Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. And today I have a first time tasting of a whiskey called Old Ballantruan. I don't know exactly how this name is pronounced. It's the old Gaelic name of the spring, of the well, where the Tomintoul Distillery takes its water from. So it's not untypical to have two different named brands of single malt whiskies from one distillery, and that is done if the content of a bottle varies that much that people might mix up with the content of a bottle if the same name is on the bottle. So this one is hefty, peaty. Officially, it has 55 ppm parts per million phenols in the specification of the malt used for this whiskey, and the typically Tomintoul whiskey has none. So those are two completely different whiskies. There is one whiskey in between. It's called Tomintoul the Peaty Tang. This has a medium amount of peat smoke in the production. The Tomintoul Distillery lies up in the mountains in the valley of the Livet, the Glenlivet, and it's a new one. I think it was bottled the first time around 2011, 2012 or 13. Yeah, time moves so fast, probably. And it's available in two different bottles. This one is the no age statement, and there is a 10 years old on the market, but it's not that often available. So I got this bottle from the distributor. He held a tasting with this, and there's still a little bit in it, so that I'm happy to have the full bottle here and have a tasting with it. Old Ballantruan is distilled in the traditional manner in the prestigious Speyside Glenlivet region. In former times, everybody put behind its distillery name the Glenlivet, because Glenlivet, the distillery of Glenlivet, was legalized or licensed as the first one in that region. And it was so popular and people liked it so much, and it's still the most often sold single malt whiskey in the US, so that people were happy to put a Glenlivet behind the name of the distillery. Today, Glenlivet is Glenlivet. It's a distillery of its own, and everybody tries to bring up its own brand and not to help other distilleries selling whiskey. And unusually for this district, it is made with heavily peated malted barley to impart a distinctive and unique flavor. Well, you have to evaluate that in former times, people had the distilleries used peat as a complete energy source of the distillery. So the pot stills were heated with peat, and the barley was dried with peat. So peat was everywhere, and people dug peat like hell. So everybody was ducking peat for the fire at home, for the fire in the office, for the fire below the stills. Everything was peat, and so all the old whiskies were peated, hefty peated. Not the blended ones where a lot of grain whiskey was in. They were well produced on column stills, and there you had to do the heating the other way, and it was unmalted cereals, so there was less peat in it. So the old Highland malt was peated, and the peatiness stayed on the islands longer because there they had less money, they had more labor, more mouth to feed, so they cut their peat longer because they could not afford the cheaper coal from the mainland. And that's why the whiskies on Islay, for example, are so popular today, because they are so peated. And the Old Ballantruan, to come back to this bottle, tries to catch the train, to jump on the train, moving fast with all the peated whiskey. So the Tomintoul, the gentle dram, changes to a peated steam engine. Yeah, okay. The Old Ballantruan is distilled using heavily peated malted barley in the traditional manner, after sleeping for many years in hand-picked oak casks, so less than 10 years, because there's a 10-year out on the market. This whiskey has been bottled at 50% volume and without any chill filtration in order to retain its layered and integrated peated flavors. Color, warm gold. Well, this is a brown bottle. Hopefully they do not have to color that. With subtle floral notes, palate gentle peat reek flavors with hints of citrus tones and malty nuttiness. Finish lingering smoke and peat with a touch of malted barley sweetness. Yeah, so the cork is very dry, nothing to evaporate from it. Yes. And there's more from the air inside the bottle. So I have a little water here, just to dilute it down a little bit from 50, if necessary. So this bottle is open for, well, a few months. Yes, 4 months, I think. And this gave the content of the bottle the chance to oxidize a little bit with the air, the fresh oxygen in the air, in the empty space of the bottle. So this might be a little bit smoother already, not so intensely peaty as a new bottle you buy, probably. So the price, did I say that? Around 40. So it's quite affordable. For a 50% ABV, it's really affordable for a peated one. Peatiness in the start. I don't know if it's 55 or 45 or 40. It's definitely above 35. It belongs to the intensely smoky whiskey. The smoke is not of the medicinal character, which people typically tend to say they are peaty. They differentiate between peaty and smoky. But if you smell at peat, you smell nothing. Peat has no smell, just a little sour from the acids, of the soil acids, of the moss. But it smells nothing. And then you have this smoke. If you burn the peat, not too hot, and the peat is, well, wet, then you have a lot of smoke coming up. And this brings not high oxidized phenols, which bring all the peat in the whiskey, which smells then medicinal phenolic. And this one is, on the other hand, it shows more a hot fire, a bonfire. Not that intense phenolic, but, well, said that, the contrary comes up. There's some stinky note in it, yes. And below that there's some aromatic fruitiness. Light fruits like apple or pears. So no dark fruits. So this shows that this whiskey is young. And if a whiskey is very, very peaty, you aren't able to taste the youngness of a whiskey. citrus coming up. A little bit of caramel and vanilla, but not much. Really, just a faint, a distant whiff. It's quite easy. It's not too complex. It's just a stinky whiskey. Rah! Just a little bit below 50. It might have evaporated 0.5% already, and now having a few degrees less. More fruit coming up, yes. More character of the whiskey. The smoke goes away a little bit. The nose is used to the smoke. And light, mild, pleasant. Yeah. Smokiness covering your mouth. A little bit of probably a light youthness in the whiskey. This is a little bit of a metallic note. If you have a whiskey too long in a flask, in a metal flask, then you have this metallic note in the whiskey. Don't do that for long. So in those flasks, just store the whiskey for a day. If you're going out for hunting or whatever, just fill it in the morning, and in the evening empty the flask. Don't keep the whiskey overnight. It will incorporate a little bit of metallic notes. No good. With water, more fruitiness and a little bit more caramel. Yeah, this is a smoky one, a hefty smoky one, and well, people will love it. The people who like smoke will love that one also. So I had that one in a blind tasting, and I put it on Islay. Really. So it's that hefty. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. There's more to come, and feel free to share your thoughts in our vlog and in our forum on Whisky.com.